Today we're going to hear from the man who helped start it all. Please help me welcome Ansley Williams to the podium.
Am I turned on? I'm turned on all right. I tell you, I ain't done a whole lot of this, and I gotta say, that's the most nice things I've ever heard anybody say about me since I was talking in my sleep. You gotta be half crazy to be in the restaurant business. You gotta be totally crazy to ask me to speak to a room full of people. But y'all came to hear it, so you're pretty crazy your own self. How many of you came for the free lunch? That's the only place you can eat decent food. Oh, Lord. You know, Savannah is a great, great place to do a lot of things. It's absolutely a great place to do business. Frank Sinatra had a take on New York. You know, he's saying if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. I got a little different take on that. In Savannah, if I can make it here, anybody can make it here. You know, Harold Reynolds told me earlier, he said he was telling Robert Baker that he was coming to see Ansley get an award for being Ansley. And he's good at it. Take these off now so I can read this. There are some incredibly special people in this town. They're generous. They're so much fun and a treat to work with. A good example of that. I was at the Red Cross fundraiser not too long ago, put on by wonderful Cecilia Russo, who is an example of some of those wonderful people in this town. And it was a great event, and our staff was over there working with Mary and Anna and everybody. And I ran to Craig Harney, and we got to talking about people and stuff. And he said, "Where'd you go to high school?" I said, "Craig, unfortunately, I didn't grow up here." Of course, most people in town probably say, "Thank God he didn't grow up here." But he was surprised by that, and I said, my wife Sharon, my lovely wife Sharon, has always said that she would love to, if she grew up here, and she would love to have come to Savannah for the first time and seen it as an adult, So I kind of had that opportunity a little bit. I grew up in a small town in west central Georgia called Thomaston, Georgia, in Upson County. I grew up out in the country and had great, wonderful parents. And that's so key to a lot of people's success. My hat's off to the people that make it in this world without having a good family base and great parents, but we were certainly fortunate to have that. I grew up Presbyterian, but after meeting all my Catholic friends there, I'm not so sure I should have done that. They got a pretty good thing going on with this confession. I went to a lobster bake the other night at Charlie Russo's house, and he had free lobster. That's pretty rare too. Charlie's giving away something free, you got to take advantage of. He and Denny Herb are over there skinny dipping, and that's a beautiful sight too. You can get a visual of that. But we got to talking about the Catholic religion and the confession and all that kind of stuff, And I said, I know that you and Denny Herb set a world record for the most confessionals going on in the history of the Catholic Church. They didn't argue with that. The thing about it is, with that confession thing, in the Catholic Church, if you mess up, you fess up, and then you pay up. In Thomaston, at the Presbyterian Church, if you mess up and fess up, you get your ass whipped. And I did. I did too much messing and too much fessing. But anyway, one thing Charlie did tell me, he said, Denny, every time we all sit there on the front row waiting on to go to compressor, they rubbing the road beads and everything. Denny, he always make him go first, and he got up in there, you know, and so they'd sit there, and all of a sudden the priest would scream out, "You did what?" So anyhow, they were probably better than me, and I was kind of used to hearing those stories. Well, back in my family thing in Thomaston, you know, we weren't totally disassociated from Savannah. My father's brother, John Williams, and Millard Williams, and his sister Irma Williams were all living here in Savannah. John Mack Williams was one of the early owners of WSGA radio station, and he gave Jerry Rogers his first job as a disc jockey. That's Jerry's. When my uncle died, Jerry sent me a very sweet letter saying that he was really appreciated what John had done for him over the years. My Uncle Millard, we call him Uncle Brother, one of the sweetest guys in the history of the world. He'd be 90 years old this September. He was in the banking business, and my Aunt Irma was a head nurse and married to Dr. John Sharpley, who was a prominent surgeon back after World War II in those days. So we had some connections. But meanwhile, I'm up there in Thomaston, old country boy hick, trying to figure out what I'm going to do. My first job was sacking groceries for 50 cents an hour at Fowler Thriftway and pumping gas, which was 29.9 cents a gallon. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do in life. You know, y'all got any good suggestions, let me know. So I saw all these TV things and ads in the paper about these airline pilots and these beautiful stewardesses and everything walking around having all this fun, and I said, oh man, wouldn't that be nice? I didn't think about the responsibility of flying a multi-billion-dollar aircraft. But anyway, so I went to my high school counselor and I said, look, I'm thinking about being an airline pilot. He said, well, I suggest you go to Georgia Tech. And I said, well, why? He said, well, you're good in math, you're good in science, and you absolutely suck at public speaking. So I couldn't argue with that. Rolled down the road, and so I went to Georgia Tech, majored in aerospace engineering, and commenced to get my pilot's license. That was an adventure. Back in those days, you could get a pilot's license for about $500 or $600, you know. And so I got that, and then next step, of course, is to move on up and get your commercial license and then try to get on with an airline or somebody commercial anyway. Well, my flight instructor gave me some really sage advice, and he said, in order to build the most hours, you need to have your own airplane. And it just so happened he had one for sale cheap. So I bought a 1946 Aeronca Champ for $1,600. And I'm going to tell you, this airplane was not much to look at. Now, when you come out there, one of those, you see the guys flying with the goggles and everything, and the bow rings, and they come out there and they swing in the prop, get it cracked and everything. And I said, Lord, have mercy, what am I going to do with this thing? Well, I'm telling y'all, all right here, right now, this world is a much safer place. My plan to be an airline pilot has gone awry. When I got that airplane, I did some crazy. I'm 19 years old now, remember. I'm crazy at 62. At 19, I was an absolute insane idiot. But anyway, I used to fly that thing so low, I had to climb and go over fences. And it was a good time. And I got some really good stories I can tell you, but I don't think I got time for all that. We took some interesting trips. My brother was playing football for the Georgia Tech freshman team, and we flew down to Tallahassee to see him play football down there. If I got time at the end of the thing, I'll finish that story, but it's good for a chuckle. But anyway, all this through this whole process, you know, I got to work. You know, unfortunately, my father died when I was a senior in high school. He left my mother, who had not worked. She'd been a housewife and a mother, a wonderful, wonderful mother for all through our early years. My brother was a sophomore in high school, and my sister Betsy was 12 years old. So she's trying to figure out how to hang on to the house, feed us, keep us going. My dad was in the trucking business, and the owners of the trucking company, which my father was at one time a partner, but they paid her for a good long time for really not doing a whole lot because she had to learn some new skills. That was a tough time for us, but we managed to hang on to everything. We still got everything, and that's pretty much of a miracle. But so back to the story. I'm at school. My dad had saved up $2,000 for my college education. Well, I blew $1,600 on that airplane. I didn't have much choice about how to do something. So we go down to the bucket shop down there, and we drinking cold beers, underage, and eating hamburgers. That's when they first came out with the half-pound hamburger. The bucket shop brought the half-pound hamburger to the South and to Atlanta, and that thing was a huge hit. So we got there and we drinking. I told you I ain't used to this. But we go down there, and we hanging out with the guys, get to know the owners and stuff. George Watson, Paul Sacchetti, Billy Rice, Pete Peck, Don Sharp. Tremendous guys, huge inspiration to all of us. But we started working with them down there. I said, George, I need a job. He said, well, are you 21? And I said, yes. So he said, well, come in tomorrow. You can start cooking hamburgers, you know. So I went in there, and Lord mercy, they have one grill in that place, and it holds 25 hamburgers. And when we started loading that thing up, it stayed full the whole time. And so I'm a pretty good hamburger cook. That's about all I can really lay claim to good, but that's pretty special there. And but we had everybody coming down there. And it wasn't long before, they called me the hit. When I came into Atlanta, I walked up there with my straw suitcases. I shook the hayseed out of my hair, and I could walk up there and look out there. Golly, look at them buildings. So all the big guys, Paul Sacchetti, the guy, that's what they call me, the hit. So whenever we need help down there, he'd say, Ansley, call up the farm team down in Thomaston, you know. So, well, at Christmas holidays, I went there and I saw Albert, and I said, Albert, I have died and gone to heaven. I am working in a bar. I mean, they're having fun every hour of every day we in there. It was just laughing, drinking. Girls are talking to me. I mean, that didn't happen in my life yet. So I'm really starting to get off on this thing. I said, man, this is something I would absolutely get paid to do something that I would have paid to have done. You know, and if I can emphasize anything, you know, we can talk about making money and all that stuff, you know, and that's important. And it definitely helps, you know, be happy a little bit. It doesn't guarantee it, but it helps. But much more importantly than that is doing what you love. Doing things that put a smile on your face, that put a smile on other people's face, that put a smile on your family's face. That is what's important. And to me, anyway. You know, y'all may have a different idea about it. So, anyway, that was in 1969. And that was before cell phones, before CNN, before fax machines. So we had a chalkboard on the wall down there with the Dow Jones Industrial Averages that we posted every hour, maybe even every half hour. We'd call in and get the current Dow Jones Industrials and go up there and write it in. You know, if you got to do that, you're kind of like a special guy. And but it was right across the street from the state capitol, and all the politicians would come over. Lester Maddox stopped in there, Phil Garner, Louis Grizzard, friend of Harvey's, Waits is over there, a personal friend. And so we had a lot of characters coming in there at lunchtime, and the reason we put that stuff on the board was so the stockbrokers wouldn't have to go back to work and they continue to drink through the afternoon. You know, and back in those days, I mean, early days, and even when we came on down to Savannah to O'Leary's and Spankies, everybody drank at lunch. Well, not everybody. Some people don't drink, but all the drinkers drank at lunch. Cheers. Warm milk for everybody. But, so where did I go with that? Yeah. All right. Oh, yeah. And one lesson I also learned in those days too: if you're going to move up, in your world, you got to find somebody as good as you or better than you to take your place. Well, I found somebody better than me. Alvin Yarber, stand up over here. Stand up, Alvin. Alvin was my lifelong partner and still is. He's moving back to Savannah to help us with some things. We're going to be working together again. I'm so excited to have that happen. It's just a wonderful, wonderful reunion, and I'm just thrilled for that to be happening all over again. But back to being better than me, and he was. I mean, Alvin was the mojo man on the grill, brother. He can come out and do some cooking. And I'm going to get to this in a minute, but he is the guy who invented the chicken finger. Let's stand up again. Alvin Yarber! Oh, Lord. Well, anyway, Alvin came up, he took my place on the grill, I moved up to busboy. Busboy, then I got the waiting tables, and I was tending bar, and then we, and Alvin and we started dreaming then. We started talking about what we're going to do down the road. What is going to happen in our future? So, you got to dream. You got to be, if you don't think it, it ain't going to happen. And our mentor, George Watson, he always told me, he said, 85% of, at least 85% of accomplishing anything is attitude. If you don't have a positive attitude, you're not going to get anything done, except you're going to make somebody miserable. And we learned that, and we moved along, and we got a better attitude the closer we got to the tending bar and having the girls talk more to us. But we moved on up, and as we got up there, we said, okay, someday we're going to be tending bar in these places. And then we said, someday we're going to be managers in these places. Then we got to be managers, and we said, ooh, someday we're going to own our own place. Then we started talking about where. And we said, we're going to have a place on the water, we're going to have a place in the mountains. Well, we got the places on the water. We ain't got the places in the mountains yet, but we're still young. So we're going to still work on that. But let's see, where was I going with that? During that time, after that time, I started, I got to be really good friends with Harold Reynolds and George O'Leary and Ralph Frazier and the guys. When we won the national championship in football at Georgia Tech, we got to be good buddies with all those guys. And I believe we've won one since Georgia has.
I think it was a tie. Wasn't that a tie?
Have we won national championship since Georgia has or not?
Hell yes. Wasn't that a tie?
No, it was not a tie. Charlie Russo, come on, you want to talk? Come on up here. I'm nervous anyway. You do better than this. But we had, and when we traveled, we were such good friends with George and Ralph and all. And when George got head coach, he took us on these trips, and we were flying to all the games, home and away, and every which way. And I was sitting with Dr. Clough at one of the games, or on the way to one. I didn't spend a whole lot of time with him, and I was a little nervous about being around that kind of clientele. But he asked me, he says, why in the world would you give up a career in aerospace for the restaurant business? There's really 3 reasons, but I didn't tell him but 2. 1, there's more money in it, and number 2, you can drink on the job. So anyway, I dropped out my senior year at Georgia Tech because they offered me a management job. They said, you can't do this and go to school. And I said, hey man, this is what I want to do. I'm blah, 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 take off and go. So, did I forget anything about underground, Alvin? I can't remember. I went to the Scotch House. I went to from there as a burger cook and bartender to a bar manager out at the Crowley Scotch House on the south side. And then at that point in time, we moved on up to Cape Cod. George Watson had worked on the Cape for John Hines, who now manages a lot of Jack Nicholson stuff. He manages Muirfield Foreman in Ohio, and he manages Jupiter Island Resort in Florida. But very, very astute and knowledgeable guy in the business. So George sent me up there to learn from this guy. But that was all well and good, and I learned an awful lot. That's where we got our masters in the restaurant business. It was an incredible learning situation. We knew no one when we got up there, and when we left, we knew everyone. So it forced us to do the things we needed to do. And but the bad thing is I didn't want to go back. But I came back to manage the Brandy House, Crowley's Brandy House. It was a steak and lobster restaurant. It was kicking butt. Alvin was the bar manager at that place, and they were wearing it out over there. And but you've all ever heard, I'm sure you have, the Peter Principle. Well, I was a classic example of the Peter Principle. I had moved way too fast beyond my area of competency. And so I had to back up and go back to Cape Cod again for another summer of drinking. My first summer at the Cape, I won the Rookie of the Year award up there, which is basically the craziest new guy on the Cape to go out and have a big old time. But the next year when I went back, Alvin went with us. Unfortunately, he lost his father that year, so I said, Alvin, I'm going back to the Cape. You want to go? He said, hell yeah, I want to go. And we went up. It was Ansley and Alvin and Ansley the whole time. It was a lot of fun. And I'm going to tell you, there were some incredible people up there, relationships, talented friends, lifelong relationships, amazing stuff. And then, after that, we head out to Lake Tahoe. Now, that ain't no bad place to be either. We go out there, of course, Al and I think we go out there and be immediate bartenders, make a lot of money, not. I'm a garbage man. At night, from 5 at night to 1 in the morning, Alvin, and lift operator from 7 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon. Alvin's a linen man. My job was to get the slop from all the rooms downstairs and dump it out on stainless steel tables and dig through it with silver and stuff. Out on this outfit and nobody would sit with me in the lunchroom. Alvin would come over and sit with me. But we went back from the Cape, back to Atlanta, and then Crowley said, look, would you please go down and check on O'Leary's? We got a place in Savannah that is eating us up. So they asked us to come down to Savannah. And so we come down, and first we were just going to be bartenders. When the manager found out that we were coming down to check on things, he quit. We came down and took over O'Leary's, and what we immediately started doing was charging for stuff. It's amazing what kind of difference that makes in your bottom line. So anyway, we turned that around, and then we brought Alvin's brother Dusty came into town, and then we were all still talking about what we were going to do. So then we said we're going to do Spankies. And Spankies was just brainchild that we kind of all shared together. We talked about it. We were going to do the big half-pound bucket burgers. We were going to do pizza because the only place downtown that did pizza was Mr. Pizza on Broad Street, and it was just kind of a little top-in place. So we did a full-fledged pizza, and then Alvin says, we need to do a chicken sandwich. He loves chicken. He loves chicken. Matter of fact, on the Cape, they call him the chicken hawk. So he insisted, that's right. That's his son Avery right there next to him. And so the chicken breast was so large that we had to trim to fit on the bun. So we sit around and said, what are we going to do with these trimmings and everything? I said, chicken salad, chicken soup, chicken kebab, blah, blah, blah. Alvin says, he goes back, he doesn't even talk. He just goes back in the fryer right there. He makes up this little batter, he whoops it all up, goes back and dips the chicken in there and drops it in the deep fat fryer. He said, here son, try this. I put that in my mouth, I said, boom! Man, that was it. That was it. And we tried little sauces and stuff. We were trying to make that Chinese mustard duck sauce. That was our first try at chicken finger sauce. And we tried all different kind of things. And that is how the chicken finger was born. And we called, Fridays had steak fingers, so we don't call them chicken finger. And we hadn't found anybody yet. We've been all across the country that had one before that. So Jack Kingston was talking the other day about having something for us in the Congress to proclaim that. I'll swear to it. Oh, Lord. Well, one thing I want to tell you, but I'm going to back up a little bit. When we got to O'Leary's, we lived in an apartment on Gaston Street on the 3rd floor. And we cooked up there on a 2-burner stove with a little oven underneath it. We cooked shrimp, corned beef and cabbage, and quiche Lorraine. Is that all we did up there? And we had, with all the trash and the mess and the eggs and everything, hauling that stuff up in that. Hazel Gillette was our landlord then. And cheesehead, she ain't around, is he? And so we had to take it downstairs and haul it down to O'Leary's and heat it up in the microwave, and that was delicious food that y'all got back in those days of O'Leary's. But then Dusty got in there with us, and we did Spankies. And of course, when Alvin invented the chicken finger, when we opened the doors at Spankies, it was pretty special. We had gone out when we first got into town, and Alvin and I had gone out for a visit at Steve's Plantation Club, and we were kind of checking things out. Johnny Harrison's was the best restaurant in town by far at that point in time, and still a great one. Except for Charlie Roos's seafood place over here. But we sat out next to this gal. She had a big old beehive here too. You know, we listened to the band playing there, and I said, "What's going on in this town?" She said, "Ain't this place nice?" I said, "Yeah, yes, it's nice." She said, "This is the best thing that's happened to this town since the bowling alley on Wednesday night." I turned to Alvin and I said, "Alvin, we're going to do good here." Anyway, but when we opened those doors, I mean, all hell broke loose at Spankies. We had waiting lines at lunch, happy hour at night. We had beautiful girls working. Christina was down there, 18 years old. My God. All the girls, Sharon, they all came down there to Faye, Dusty's wife Faye, Alvin's wife Teresa, Patty, my wife Patty, Chelsea's mom, and we were having fun, you know. And I told you about drinking on the job, but we were doing our share of it back then. You really can't do that today and expect to be ultra successful. But if I only had one place and I was working there, I'd be drinking on the job. Oh, okay.
That's not the lesson to take home.
I'll tell you what it was. I'm telling you, the money we were rolling on Spankies, you know, beer was 50 cents, drinks were $1.25, hamburgers were $1.50, $1.99, and we tripled and quadrupled our projections with banks. They were all delighted. That's the first and last time that's happened. But I mean, we were making money. It was like selling sex on a troop train. It was unbelievable. That's all well and good, but the problem was we were spending money like soldiers on a troop train. It don't matter how much you make. It's all about how you got to keep some. You know? So we figured out. We learned real quick how to mismanage large amounts of cash. So then 2 years later to the day, that was December the 16th, 1976. 2 years later to the day, on December the 16th, 1978. I still didn't do my math. We opened up Spankies on the south side. Dusty Yarber, Dave Silverman became a partner at that time. Tommy Gruber was out there working. It was just, you know, a really great team. And once again, the cash came in. But this was kind of tough because we bought the land and we built the building and we had a $600,000 debt or something like that. And we borrowed the money from Murray Marshall. I don't know if he's here or not, but Tommy Hester probably had something to do with it. And he was very generous with his interest rate. It was 3 over prime. Sounds like something King Gaylord would do. But at that point, you know, it wasn't too bad because interest rates were like 11, 12%. You know, we said, well, we can make that work. Well, Jimmy Carter was president, and then the interest rates went to 21%, and we were paying 24%. So basically what we were doing, our note every year was about a quarter of what we owed on the thing, and it damn near put us under. But, once again, the big bucks saved us, and, you know, we quit spending money like soldiers on a troop train. Then, it took us a while. 8 years later, we went to St. Simon's and opened that place down there, and we struggled down there. I tell you, we did some pretty good numbers, but we weren't making any money. And so, it got us in a little bit of trouble. Back in those days, one of the easiest ways to borrow money was to just have overdraft checks. You know, and that was when, you know, bounce checks were $5, $6, $8, but bank paid them. So that worked for us. It's an expensive way to borrow money, but when you got to make payroll, it works. But we survived that, and then we said, I'm sitting in the office one day, and it's January, and we always, this just dropped down in January. Well, I'm sitting there looking at bank balances, Spankies on River Street, Spankies on the south side, Spankies in St. Simon. I'm going, oh, Lord. Well, Richard Chalmers called me up and said, Ansley, I got a place you need to look at. I said, Richard, no way. Can't do it. They ain't going to do it. No chance, no way, no how. He said, I said, well, where is it? He said, it's a Taylor's Restaurant across from City Hall on Tybee Island. All right, I'll go look at it. I go out there, and this January is all, everything's shut down. I'm looking through the window, looking in. They got tables, chairs, tablecloths, bar built, kitchen equipment, outside bar, everything's all set. I said, man, we can go in there and open this place up for $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. I said, I said, I don't know how I'm going to do it. But I went back, I called up Take Shiver, and it was Joe Hanson. Is that bringing back? Yeah, they were our bankers at Savannah Bank back in those days. I said, Take, y'all got to come look at this. We took them out there, walked them all through the property, took them inside, out on the beach, showed them, we want to put the Spankies out here. They said, yeah, look around. They said, well, I said, what do you think? He said, both of them, we think you'll absolutely kill them. I said, good. I said, will you loan us some money? They said, no. Bankers for you, you got bankers on there. All the bankers run stand up. Y'all ashamed of it or what? But anyway, so, shoot, they said no. So, yeah, I tell you what we did. We borrowed $10,000 from one of our buddies who had a little cash, and they wrote some more bad checks. We got it open, and in the first month, we did more business than they'd done the whole year before us, the business that was out there. We did $25,000, I don't like to use numbers, but we did $25,000 on our grand opening that one day, and it was amazing because everybody was so hungry for a good, positive place to beach, and that kind of helped us carry us along. And then, after we got Spankies going out there, I really learned how to mismanage large sums of cash. I got into politics. I served a term on city council, and they called us the Red Nose Council because every time they'd take a break, we'd go across the street to Spankies and have a cold beer. But we got a lot of good things done, and Walter Parker was the mayor, and we built the Pier Pavilion out there. We got money put aside from the hotel motel tax for the tourism department and the chamber, and that sort of made some good things go down the road good. So, oh yeah, okay, we wound up breaking these things up, you know. Alvin went to St. Simon's, Dusty, David, and Tommy took south side, Tybee and the west side, and then I took Spankies River Street. We made a venture into dog country up there with golden white awning, Georgia Tech golden white awning in Athens. That didn't work out too good for us. And I'm still paying for that, ain't I, Harold? But, so we started the Live Oak Restaurant Group, and that's Tubby's, Fiddlers, the River House, Fiddlers on the south side, Molly McGuire's out on Wilmington Island, and the Conch House. How we looking at the time? I feel like I've been here for days.
Months.
Five till.
Okay. But anyway, that is Live Oak, and I can tell you one little story about how Tubby's got its name.
It's gotta be you.
Well, it's close. My partner Stan Strickland, and he's not here, so I can really talk bad about him. The reason we started Tubby's was to do fresh fish because he was a fisherman. We had all this fresh fish, not really much to do with it. It was giving it away, selling it, that sort of thing. Charlie would beat us. He would beat us to death with the prices over there.
You never give me anything.
We don't give you nothing. You learned that, didn't you?
Yeah.
No, but so we opened. I said we're going to open up a little seafood place and do grilled fish and that sort of thing. And we go on a diet. We're trying to lose weight. Well, Stanley on that diet is gaining weight. And I said, Stan, if you don't start losing weight, I'm going to start calling you Tubby, and I'm going to open up a restaurant named it after you. Hello. So we got Tubby's, and we got Live Oak Restaurants. And we've had a really, really, really good run, and we've had an awful lot of fun doing it. And I gotta say, you know, that you can make money and do whatever you want to do in this world. Savannah's a great place to do it. There's opportunity everywhere. But, you know, that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is the people in your life that you love, your family, your friends, people that you care about. You love them.
I can fix that, sorry.
And have another drink. You know, life is fleeting. Life is very, very, very special. We are all blessed to be here. We gotta thank God every day for the blessings we've had. We can't ever forget that. We move on forward, but making money is way, way down the list on what really matters. So, you know, like y'all don't know, I didn't mention Patrick and Anna and what they've meant to this company and this business that we've had. It wouldn't even be close to what it is without Patrick's involvement and Anna's involvement and all our family's involvement. But hug and love your family every day. Get the max out of it, because you never know how long it's going to be and how long before it's gone. I love all y'all. I love Savannah. Thank you for having me.
You done dropped something.
I don't think I want to pick it up again.
Ansley, thank you very much. That was absolutely outstanding. And you're right, you can't forget to have fun in what you're doing.